So now we're going to talk a little bit about the assignment that we're doing today. Let me actually be big for a sec before we start talking about definitions of words. So obviously this week we're talking a lot about prison and also more largely contemporary culture wars. So we're going to move away from prison a little bit tomorrow, even though it'll be part of it. But one thing that I thought was really important is if we're talking about the war on drugs, we're talking about people being incarcerated. It's really common to talk about prisoners, but we don't often hear from prisoners. A lot of you pointed out in Monday's lesson that one of the most painful things about the way that we treat prisoners in this country is that they disappear from society, right? Like they don't really get to share their own voices with their family or with anyone. But there are a lot of organizations. This one is called Prison Insider that collect stories and personal testimonies. Those are like stories from people who have witnessed something, a testimony. And this that we're about to read is a testimony from a man who is serving a prison sentence for a drug-related crime. He will be out in 2034, and so he is in prison right now to this day. And I think it's really important that we consider the voices of people who are actually affected by it instead of just thinking abstractly about it. We always want to think about how actual individual humans are impacted by things, right? And this will help us think more about that question that we're always asking. What does war reveal about human values? What does this contemporary war on drugs reveal about American values? And what can we do about that? It's easier to think about values when you see the human voices behind it, right? So that said, we are using this to figure out how to define words. So that's a big part of it. We're going to pull on some tools that we just talked about in the last video. So let's go smaller again. All right, so we got an article here. It's in Canvas. Pull it up. You can look through it with me. I'm going to do the first 3 definitions, and then you'll do the ones for the rest, and then you'll answer these questions. But first, let's read through this. United States of America, cheese on a trap. The days go by, but just like outside prison, no 2 days in prison are ever the same. Prison conditions, the daily routine, possible visitors, medical treatment, food, or even access to the right of defense vary greatly from one prison to another and from one country to another. Prison Insider publishes testimonials from people who have been or are currently in prison and from people who are able to share their experience. This series of testimonials, A Day in Prison, puts the truth behind worldwide prison conditions into words. Quante A, who is the author of this particular testimonial, Quante A has been incarcerated for 16 years. He is now held in a prison in Pennsylvania and will be released in 2034. Prison Insider asked him what his first day in prison was like. This is what he told us. So that's just set up for what we're about to read. All right, scroll down to instructions. Read through the article. As always, read it. Read it. People are going to tell you that you can skim. There are all these tricks and tools to not having to read it. Just read it. Y'all are geniuses. Read it. Read through the article. At each highlighted word, fill out the box with what you think the word means. Explain what context clues you use to make an educated guess about the word's meaning. After, copy and paste the word's dictionary definition from Merriam-Webster.com. I've got it hyperlinked right here, so you can click on it. It'll send you there. It'll bring you back to see how you did. After finishing the vocabulary, answer the questions at the bottom. You'll do that on your own. I will not be modeling that for you, but do remember, you got all these questions to answer at the bottom, so don't forget about that part. That's part of your grade. Dun, dun, dun. After finishing the vocabulary, answer the questions at the bottom. The definition you guess and the definition from Merriam-Webster should be different. If they are the same thing, I know that you just copy and paste off of Merriam-Webster, and I'm going to be mad about it. I'm also pretty good at telling when people have just reworded the definition. So don't try it. Just guess. It's not that hard. You're just trying to guess what a word means. Even if you're totally wrong and you fall on your face, who are you embarrassing? No one. No one can see you except for me. And I would rather know that you put in the effort than... Frankly, it would be embarrassing if I saw, like, this person is cheating on something this easy. Come on. Don't cheat. You'll get a 0. I can tell. Also, I trust you. I want to trust you not to cheat. I believe you to be, like, people of integrity, or I aspire for you to be people of integrity. You'll do great. I believe in you. All right, so... let's get started. Let me show you just like how I would work through a couple, and then you can work through the rest yourself and answer the questions. All right, so this is Quante A speaking about his first day in prison. My first day was not my worst day. That title would go to the day I was sentenced to 35 years, and the day I was captured after my prison break comes second. My first day was a dejecting experience, but my emotions and lack of productivity will not be what defines it. Okay, so dejecting. That's a kind of a funny word. I'm not like super sure what it means, but let's see if I can work through it with some context clues or some root words. So let's see. D, I know that D usually means something like deprogram, so you undo something, but I don't exactly know what ject means. I know there's like inject and deject and blah, 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 but I can't quite figure out what that means, so I'm probably not going to use root words. So let's see if I can define it from anything around here. My first day was a dejecting experience, but, okay, so there's some contrast. But my emotions and lack of productivity will not be what defines it. Not super sure. Let's go to the sentence before it. My first day was not my worst day. That title would go to the day I was sentenced to prison and the day I was captured after my prison break. My first day was a dejecting experience. So it wasn't the worst. We know that the first day was not the worst day. So dejecting doesn't necessarily mean like the worst thing ever. But my emotions and lack of productivity will not be what defines it. All right. So what I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say that dejecting probably means an experience that makes someone feel sad. Because what I'm going with here is he's trying to say, my emotions and lack of productivity will not be what defines this day. So he's trying to say, like, it sounds like he's trying to say that these bad things, like the bad emotions that I assume come with going into prison, and the lack of productivity, also not a very good thing. He's trying to say that those bad things are not going to define something for him. So he wants to make the best of it. So he's saying, like, I think it makes the most sense if he's saying, my first day was a day that made me sad, but I'm going to make the best of it. When you piece it all together like that, that feels like what makes the most sense. So I'm going to say, if he wants to make the best of his first day, parentheses, saying bad things, quote, will not be what defines it, end quote. And is setting up a contrast. We see that with the word but, right? but always means that we're about to make a different point, comma. Then dejecting probably means something negative or saddening. Also, anyone's first day in prison is probably sad. That's just like a context clue that's like loud and clear, right? Anyone's first day in prison is probably not a happy one, let's say. Okay, so let's copy and paste dejecting. You can hit Control-C if you don't know how to copy and paste already. And let's go to Merriam-Webster. Bum, 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 bum. All right. And we're going to put in dejecting. All right, sometimes to follow things through Merriam-Webster, it might not just show up immediately, right? All right, in this case, it looks like we're going to get pretty lucky. How can I drag myself over here? There we go. It's weird, you guys. I think my computer is haunted. Back. Okay, so what it says here, to make gloomy. So look at there. I was right. Something that makes you sad, an experience that makes you sad. So I'm going to hit Control-C, and I'm going to go, again, that's copy. I'm going to go back into my worksheet and hit Control-V to make gloomy. Look at there. Now I've done everything, and I feel like I was right. Feels good. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit quicker on this one. I might not type, well, no, I'll type everything, but it'll go a little faster. Let's do the second one, and then you'll do the rest of them. Okay. The day began with a dream, an illusionary one that many young black men too often pursue. I had the dream of getting paid by snatching cheese from a trap. In pursuit of that dream, I hopped into a rental car with 2 Mexican nationals and drove to a truck stop in southern Illinois. It was there that I was given a key to the ignition of a disabled van that had marijuana secured in its caged cargo compartment. I departed the truck stop unwillingly, under the escort of a dozen federal agents, without even seeing the pot and wearing handcuffs and shackles. It was a reverse sting, a trap. My illusionary dream was cut short with my being caught trying to snatch cheese from this trap. Okay, so this one is actually super easy, and we can use the tool of root words, right? If we happen to know what the root word here is. So I'm going to say that my reasoning is from the root word illusion, which means something that looks real but isn't. So just because you see a couple of extra letters on the end there, illusionary, it's not actually that different from illusion, right? He's saying that this dream that he has, it's not like an actual dream come true situation. It's an illusion. It's something that could disappear. So I'm going to say for my definition of illusionary, don't be a jerk. Don't just write illusion. I'm going to, again, write out the definition. Something that looks real but isn't. And it's just as simple as that. Okay, and then just for the sake of checking, you never know, sometimes you could be wrong. Let's go back into Merriam-Webster. And we'll load. All right, enter. All right, so it's going to kick me back to a word illusory, saying that that's going to be the same thing. Based on producing an illusion, deceptive. All right, let's go back to illusion, make double sure that we get it. a misleading image presented to the vision. So that also checks out with what I wrote down. You have an image in your vision, but it's misleading. It's not real. There's something about it that that isn't the way that you're seeing it. So that's what he's saying about this dream that he had. He had this dream of, being able to like make this drug exchange happen, and he would finally be able to like make some money and be able to like have this cheese in this trap, right? But he was being set up. So keep going, keep trying to figure out what these words mean. Looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with, how close you get. Again, if you don't get the definition right, if you don't match, that's fine. Sometimes that happens and you live and you learn. But also be paying attention to what's in the article. It's really important to me that you like consider this man's voice and like respect the experience he's been through. So you'll go through all these questions at the bottom. These are more about the letter than they are actually about the definitions of these words. And I look forward to seeing how you do with this. All right. I know this video was kind of long. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks, guys.